favorite movie. I still get emotional. My kids grew up on it. Ron McGill's here. I don't know if we went to high school together. He attended, got good grades. I was enrolled at Palmetto. And we got Glenn here, who is supposed to be the man of the hour.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the zoo. First of all, congratulations. You got an event open up this weekend?
Yeah, we got a big opening coming up. The Conservation Action Center is opening up to the public this weekend. You guys, community newspapers, did an incredible insert. I encourage anybody to get a copy of that, and gives you a great background about what this is. It's a great exhibit, interactive, where you go in there, you can play, whack-a-mole, you can play scoop the poop, you can do all kinds of things.
Scoop the poop?
Scoop the poop, baby. See how much poop you can scoop into the compost bin.
Wow.
Electronically scored. You can have competitions. It's a lot of fun.
I thought like when I got in detention, I had to scoop the horse stuff.
No, this one doesn't smell. Don't worry about it.
So, Glenn, how long have you been in the photo world? Because I know you're a great photographer.
It's been a long time. It's probably more than 30 years, I would think, at least. Somewhere in there.
First time you picked up a camera, do you remember it?
I don't really. I was pretty young. I mean, we've had a lot of photographers in the family, and my father was really into it, but had cousins. So, I mean, generally, I'm sure I just wanted to play with the cameras all the time. So, started out with some older cameras too that had gotten passed down to me. So,
Ron, how did you fall in love with photography?
For me, it was something that came as a necessity. I started doing a lot of conservation work and started writing papers, and I was submitting papers to get them published. And they said, "Oh, we love the papers. We need some pictures." I said, "Okay." So I contacted the stock agencies to see, well, I need a picture of this, this, and this. And then they said, "Okay, here it is, and here's the price." And I went, "What?" I said, "I can't afford that."
The zoo.
Yeah, this is starting when I started at the zoo back in 1980.
Have you worked anywhere else?
Yes, Miami Serpentarium. That was my first job, Miami Serpentarium.
Was Eric then?
No, it wasn't Eric. No, Eric is at the Seaquarium.
Which one you said?
The Serpentarium with Bill Haas, right next to Sunnyland Park.
Yeah.
That was my first job. Wow. So actually my first job was picking mangoes for Mitchell's Mangoes. That was my first job.
That was in Pinecrest.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. So I was before the show, I was bragging that in 1969 I won the photo contest from Howard Drive at the U Fair. So Ron, you just won some big award.
Yeah, I won the photo first place in the National Wildlife Federation, which is it's one of the most prestigious of the wildlife photography competitions. I was blown away actually that we won.
Do you remember one photo that you still love other than your family portrait?
Yeah, and the photo is of a lioness hugging her cub. And it's not necessarily the photo itself, but it's the culmination of a story. And I think a lot of photographers will tell you that a lot of times people look at a photo and go, "Oh my God, that's my favorite." It's okay photo. But the photo that might be the photographer's favorite photo, the public might look, "It's a nice photo," but I don't see anything great about it because they don't know the story behind the photo. I think when you work taking images and you're telling a story with an image, sometimes it's the story behind the image that is more impactful than the image itself.
Glenn, what was your favorite photo?
Do
you have one?
I don't think I have a specific favorite one. I mean, I think a lot of times for me, it's the moment. I mean, a lot of stuff, it's just, you see something that you're just like, wow, I really want to preserve this, or I just want to be able to share this with somebody else. So I have a lot of favorites, I think, though. So, but nature photography is one of the things that I really enjoy a lot. So definitely some of those.
Where's the most interesting place you've been?
I've been to Kenya. I've been to Taiwan. I mean, those are a couple of places that I really enjoyed photographing in. And yeah, I think there, and I guess I've also been to Roatan, which was also
Roatan. Is that next to
Honduras?
Pinecrest?
yeah. Real close,
Yeah.
real close.
You went to Honduras?
Yeah. A friend was working down there, so I went down to visit him, and I got to stay at one of the resorts on the island.
There's not much of resorts, but it's a resort, right? Is it nice?
Well, no. Back then, I don't know. It's been a long, long time, but I mean, back then it was amazing because they had bungalows actually out over the water. So
Well, pretty cool.
yeah, it was amazing. Although I did have a rough experience. Like I was hiking up in the hills, and one of the little village dogs was following me up, and I looked down at the dog, and I was like, something's going on with his skin. That's really weird. And it's like his skin was moving, and I was like, what is that? And I looked in real close, and he was covered. I mean, with a layer of ticks. It was unbelievable. I've never seen that many ticks before. And then I was like, oh my God, if the dog's got that many ticks on it, what about me? So I looked at my legs and I couldn't believe the ticks on me. So I just went running down that hill right through my bungalow and out the back door into the water. It was a pretty frightening experience, at least tick wise on there. So.
Where's your most exciting place you've been?
Oh, gosh, there's so many of them, but I think the Okavango Delta in Botswana is just.
Where is that? That's in Africa.
That's in southern Africa. Yeah, southern Africa. It's right above South Africa, next to Zimbabwe. But the Okavango Delta is kind of like the Everglades of Africa, except it's not really an Everglades, but it's the same swamp effect. But just
same swamp look.
Same swamp look in many areas. Yeah.
Wow.
But just incredible. Elephants, lions. I mean, everything. And the lions in the Okavango are like the NFL football player lions compared to the couch potatoes you see in most of the rest of Africa.
Okay. Question for you, Ron. Where's the most scary spot you've taken a photograph and you go, what am I doing here? Like, was there a tiger near you, a lion next to you, something mean that you're going, what am I really doing?
I don't know about scary. If I was going to say scary, I was in a dugout canoe photographing hippos in the Nile River next to Murchison Falls. And a hippo all of a sudden just came porpoising out of the water after us. And
chasing you?
Oh, yeah, coming to get us. And fortunately, we had a motor on the back of that little dugout. And we just got away. But I really thought, as a matter of fact, that's an image. I took the image. I was photographing the hippo as it was coming out of the water. And I'm down, keeping on water level, taking the image. And then all of a sudden, it lunged out of the water. I went, oh, God.
Do you still have the pictures?
Well, that's the thing. As we got back to camp, I didn't realize. But when he lunged out of the water, I must have hit the shutter when I tensed up. And one of the most amazing photographs I have is this hippo in midair with all the water, with his mouth open, coming at me.
Now, when you're racing Alf,
I thought we were going to die.
Yeah,
hippos are the most dangerous animal in Africa. They kill more people than any other animal in Africa.
You're going, kill me, but don't hurt my camera.
That happened once with an elephant, actually, in the bottom of the Ngorongoro crater.
Where is that?
It's in Tanzania. And we were doing a study on elephants in must, which is a male elephant that's at the peak of his hormone level. He's like, all he wants to do is fight and breed. That's all he wants to do. So I was...
Okay, sorry.
I was photographing him, and when we photograph, we always turn the engine off on the vehicle because you don't want any shake to make the your photograph blurry. And all of a sudden, the elephant started coming. I said, "Okay, let's go." And he went to start the engine, and it just went click, click, click. The battery died. And I said, "Oh my God, we're in a Land Rover with an open top." And I'm photographing as he's coming. And then I just finally hit the ground and held onto the ground like this. And the elephant hit the truck and started tipping the truck back and forth. It's flipping on two wheels. It almost flipped over.
Why? Why was he?
He's just all wound up.
Okay,
their hormone levels so wound up. They just all they do is fight and breed, so they get crazy. And then all of a sudden, I saw this shadow. I'm holding the bottom of the seat on the bottom of the truck.
In the truck
on the bottom, but it's totally open on the top because that's how we stood up to take our picture.
Do you think you're going to die?
I think I'm going to die. All of a sudden, there's a big shadow, and all of a sudden, I feel the trunk of the elephant. He came over the truck, and I feel him on my face, and he's going. And I'm holding up.
Why is he doing that?
He's trying to sense what's going on. I'm holding him. I think he's going to try to grab me with his trunk and pull me out of the truck and just kill me. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it's over. And I just, and then all of a sudden he stopped. And then all of a sudden I saw the shadow go away and I looked up and there was nothing there. And I waited a couple of minutes and I peeked up and he was just walking away. But I thought for sure I was going to die there.
Was he smelling like a human? What?
I think he was smelling such profound fear that he probably just laughed and just said, well, this guy's no threat to me. I'm out of here.
Listening to you guys, it's pretty exciting to me. It's like, wow.
Listen, my life has been something I never could have dreamed of having as a kid. I mean, I grew up in a small apartment in New York City. I never thought all these things that I've been able to live were things that I dreamed of when I watched Wild Kingdom, with Marlon Perkins and Jim Fowler. So for me, these experiences have been absolutely indelible. They've been life-changing for me. And I always tell people, listen, if I die tomorrow, no one should shed a tear for me because I have lived more of a life than I ever dreamed of living.
Wow. Glenn, I'm impressed. All right, let's talk about zoo photographs. Why don't you talk about it?
Yeah, well, listen, the greatest thing about the zoo is that you've got animals that are there. One of the greatest challenges in wildlife photography is finding the animal. When you want to go out and find an animal to get the right shot, that's one of the biggest challenges that we have. So at the zoo, you got the animals there. So the big hump is already over with. Now you got to figure out what you want to shoot it with. And what I try to tell people at our zoo, Zoo Miami, the biggest advantage you have, generally speaking, a lack of bars and obstacles that allow you to get great shots because everybody doesn't want their shots to look like it was taken in the zoo. Everybody wants their shots to look like it was taken in the wild. And I think Zoo Miami does as good or better job than any zoo in the country at doing that because we have those unobstructed views and more importantly, the backgrounds, are basically non-man-made objects. We've paid a lot of attention to sight lines. So when you're shooting with your camera across, you'll have the animal in the front and you may have trees, something natural behind it, as opposed to a building or a fence or something like that. So I tell people all the time, listen, the number one trait you need in any kind of wildlife photography, whether you be out in the wild or at the zoo, is patience. I see too many people walk in the zoo. They walk in front of an exhibit with their camera. The animal's laying down and say, okay, nothing happened here. We're going to move on. Listen, if I can give you one piece of advice, we have benches in front of most of our exhibits. If the light is right and the animal is there and might be sitting down at the time, sit down on the bench, wait for a while. Wait for things to happen. It's the same thing I see with people out doing wildlife photography out on an African safari. I've been on many of them. And I'm amazed at how many people sit there taking pictures on an African safari. They'll take some pictures. We'll be in the middle of like 200 elephants. And people take pictures. Click, click, click. Okay, where are we going to next? I go, what? Are you out of your minds? Listen, folks, there's 200 elephants around us. This is changing all the time. There's all kinds of behaviors, all kinds of light changes. Sit there. Get the picture. It's not the quantity, it's the quality of the images that you're taking. Wait for these behaviors to develop. And that's what I tell people. It's the same thing at the zoo. You got to have that patience. So before I toss it over to Glenn to tell you more specifically about equipment, when I tell people all the time, if I was going to go with one piece of equipment to a zoo, okay, this is my go-to equipment. Basically, it's a Nikon, it's a D5 with a Nikon 200 to 500 zoom lens. And I'll tell you why this is a great lens for the zoo. The exhibits are located across moats, okay? So you have a little bit of a distance. This long telephoto is going to be able to bring that animal closer to you while kind of compacting the scene, okay? And the other thing is it's light enough to where you can handhold it. If you can't handhold it, you can use a monopod, okay? This is a great little thing. It's not too heavy. You're welcome to bring tripods to the zoo. Don't get me wrong, but that can be cumbersome. All right. It can be really cumbersome. So with this lens, you have the 200 to 500. And what that does is it gives you flexibility. So you can reframe, you can recompose your pictures. If an animal's coming at you, you can get closer, you can get further away. Sometimes when you're locked into a fixed focal length lens, it kind of restricts sometimes the creativity you can have with the lens. All right. So I use this lens. And another thing I also do, folks, is with animal behavior, when you have a camera that has the ability to what we call burst mode, where you can go, 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 11, 12 frames per second. Use it. Use it. The biggest advantage we have in digital is what I call the delete button. Okay. If the photo sucks, delete it. But once you get it, you have that chance. You can capture things. And these cameras, when they're going, they're seeing things that your native eye is not seeing. Trust me. I can't tell you how many great images I've gotten that were surprises to me. I take the image and all of a sudden I'm kind of chimping through the thing and looking through it and I go, oh, look at this shot I got. I never saw it with my eyes. Okay. The camera got it. So trust your equipment. Go out there, use your equipment, and shoot away, man. It's digital. You can reformat the card, and you get free film again. Back in the film days when I had to shoot film, do you know how much money I just threw away on film? I get a whole roll back with everything crappy except for maybe one shot. That was the goal of every good photographer, to get one great image in a roll of film. So I'm talking too much. I'm going to toss it over to Glenn to talk a little bit more about equipment, but that's where I go to. Remember, guys, the zoom lenses today are so much better than they were in the past. Okay, when you're traveling, I always go, my little think tank bag here, I got all my equipment in here. It's got little rollers. I'm an old man now. I can't carry that stuff all over the zoo. That's 3 miles of walkway if you want to carry it all over. Use the little roller, walk around the zoo with all your stuff in here, and compact with zoom lenses. Again, 200 to 500, 28 to 300, and 12 to 14 to 24. Okay, that's all you need. That's all you need. This is folks, photography is for everybody these days. And also, don't forget, bring the speed light. People say, well, what on your speed light? It's daylight. You don't need a flash out there. No, you do. You want to fill in those shadows. You can fill in those shadows. These things do that stuff. You'll be surprised. You won't see it with your naked eye, but when you put it on your computer screen, you're going to see that little pop light in the eye of the animal. You go, there's my flash. There's giving it that depth of field. That's giving it some pop to it. Folks, if you got it, use it. Done.
Before Glenn goes, I want to make sure for everybody in TV land, bring the Metro Zoo Miami promotes it. Bring cameras.
Absolutely, bring all the camera equipment you want. There's no restriction on it,
and
except drones. You can't fly drones in this.
Yeah. By the way, it's great for everybody. Other than the photographer, it's great for Zoo Miami because people, wow, where'd you take that picture? Before Glenn goes, did you take pictures of your wife's birth?
I did. I took pictures and video.
Black and white, color?
Oh, color. I wasn't. Yeah, I'm more into black and white now. But back then, I just wanted to document everything as it was, and it was perfect.
That was the best photos you ever took.
Personally, they were great photos. It's not something I put all over Facebook.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Go, Glenn. Talk about it. Talk about the zoo.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, what Ron said about just how the design of the zoo, is just great for photography. It is an important thing, and actually, one of the things I just wanted to show was that 200 to 500 lens that Ron was showing is a fantastic lens. I mean, it really is. It's a really sharp lens. As lenses like that go, it's a very affordable lens too. A similar lens, it used to be you'd use a prime lens that would generally a 500 or a 600 millimeter lens cost $11,000. I mean, so it's pretty frightening. So something like this is in probably the $1,300 range. And for a lot of people, that is still an expensive lens. So there's also, I wanted to show an alternative that's really actually an amazing thing from Nikon. This one's a P950, actually. It's a Coolpix camera, and it's considered a point and shoot, but it's a separate class of them called bridge cameras. Basically, this little tiny camera has about 4 times the zoom range of that 200 to 500. This lens has the equivalent of over a 2,000 millimeter lens. It's really amazing. I've seen some incredible shots taken at the zoo and from people's safaris. Various versions, the older versions of this camera, have been really popular for us. I used to send them a lot out when customers would come in and they're going on a safari. They would basically, they'd get a lot of that kind of equipment. And one of the things I guess I'll also mention is a lot of people forget about the other people that are with them when they go to the zoo or they're on a safari. So, the serious photographers in the group will have the big equipment like a D5 or a D500 and the big lenses. But I often suggest, customers pick up a camera like this so that their family, the kids, the wife, can have one of these with them. And usually the story I end up hearing about after the trip is that everyone ended up fighting over this camera because the zoom is just unbelievable. You could get in to a quarter of the frame, basically, that lens would do. And it's just, in something this small and light, and the stabilization on it is so good that you can actually hand hold this and not have to worry about shake, really. Of course, if you did use it on a tripod, it's that much better, but you can get away with hand holding this camera, and it is just phenomenal. But on the point of also sharing and making sure that, the people that are with you have something to do. As a wildlife photographer, as a nature photographer, just even as a hobbyist birder, even, pair of binoculars. This is a really amazing thing to take to the zoo or on any trip out into the wilderness. Again, when you're concentrating on shooting your shots with the big gear, with the camera, you can hand this off to someone else and they can be seeing what you're seeing. Or they can be finding you the next subject even. So, but it also, it keeps them from getting bored. As Ron mentioned, patience is a really important thing for photography, photographing wildlife and nature. Not even just the actual wildlife, but if you're just doing a nice, a landscape shot, you really want to be able to wait for the right moment. And sometimes, that can take some time. So having the binoculars with you gives you something else to do while you're there, or something else for the people that are with you to do. And also, being able to use 2 eyes when you're spotting stuff gives you that much more detail and the ability to really pick out fine details on things and to identify stuff. So these are really handy to have. I also think the 28 to 300. It's funny. I've got mine with me here actually too. So it's a fantastic lens. As Ron mentioned, zoom lenses, the quality of them has improved so much over the last, even 10 years, that you can get away with something like that. That lens, the 28 to 200, goes from wide angle to, a great telephoto focal length. It's really it's also excellent when at the zoo. And there's also a lot of opportunities, I think, at Zoo Miami for a lot of closer shots. So if you don't have really long lenses and so on, don't forget that, the other people with you are great subjects as well. Photographing their reactions to what they're seeing in the exhibits is also a great thing. There's a lot of exhibits too that actually have some very close, they're through glass, so you can actually get in very close to your subjects.
And remember, when you're shooting through glass, okay, you don't want to be right in front of the glass. Shoot a little bit at an angle so you diffract the reflection, especially if you're going to be using a speed light. Use a speed light at the side. I see so many people get in front of a glass with the flash, and then they look at the thing, it's just a flash of white. Right. Don't do that. Just go a little bit to the side. It's like you guys who are old enough, you remember the game of Pong? Okay, the ball will go dong, dong, and depending on how it hit the wall, it's the way it refracts. It's the same thing with light.
It's like racquetball.
Yeah, exactly. You just want to use those angles so you don't get those reflections. You don't get the big thing, but you can get some great pictures right through the glass. And even if there's mesh in front of you, okay, you can get as close to the mesh as you can, all right? And if the animal's far enough behind, you can shoot right through it. If you open whatever the widest aperture is on your lens, if you open it up as widely as possible, you're not going to see that at all. It's called a rack focus. You rack out that mesh, those bars, whatever, and you won't see it. The animal's going to look like it's coming right at you with nothing in front of it. So these are the things, little tiny tricks like that, but you can use them all at the zoo. And guys, remember what I'm telling you. The best teacher you have is right here. It's your LCD, okay? You got to just keep shooting and shooting. Look at what you're getting, and soon you're going to learn what your camera can do. Soon you're going to have your own personal favorites of whether you like it a little bit underexposed, a little bit overexposed, to where you get away from everything being automatic. Go to manual and start moving it around. Start seeing what your light is. Remember, the word photography comes from the Greek term painting with light. That's what it means, painting with light. So that's what you want to do. Okay, take your manual mode and start making it darker. So a lot of these pictures you see, oh my God, it looks so beautiful, so moody. If you saw it in real life, you go, well, that's not the same place. Because the photographer stopped it down, made it moody, darkened things up. Okay, that's where you can be creative. Don't hesitate to do that.
But it's interesting. You see models, and you go, they're not that good looking or not that pretty. But when they get behind, when the camera takes it, you go, wow.
Yeah, it's all light, man. It's painting with light, using the refractors, using the soft boxes. And of course, in Photoshop, they do a little bit of touching up too.
Yeah. But if I'm a beginner photographer, do I go in the morning? Do I go in the afternoon? Do I go in the late evenings? Is there any particular
to the zoo?
Yeah.
You want to be there the minute the doors open. Okay. For a couple of reasons. First of all, that's the nicest light. You have what's called the golden light, which is first thing in the morning, last thing in the afternoon. You don't want to be shooting anytime between 11:30 and 2:30. That's waste of time.
First of all, you're burning so hot.
Well, not just that, but if you go on safari in Africa, you don't even go out on game drives during that time. You only go out on game drives early in the morning, late in the afternoon, because it's the nicest light, and also because that's when you can get the most activity from the animals. At the zoo especially, when animals first come out to the exhibit, their normal behavior is to go and scent the entire exhibit. They're going and exploring. What happened overnight while I was not on the exhibit? And that's when you're going to get most of your action. So I always tell people, the zoo, first thing in the morning.
And what time does the zoo open?
10 o'clock.
So do you get a little excited, Ron, when you see all these photographers out there? Personally,
I love it. I get excited for them because I know the potential of what they're able to capture out there at that zoo. I mean, I know the shots that I've been able to get. It's mind blowing. It really is. It's fantastic that we have a facility that affords you so many different animals in such a variety of settings, and really a lot of neat challenges too. So I listen, for those of them who don't have a membership, get a membership, because with a membership as a photographer,
how much is it?
Oh, gosh, I forget what it is. I think it's like $75 a person and $100 for a family.
For a year.
For a year. And that means you can go to the zoo every day for free, okay, for the whole year. So as a photographer, I don't see any better investment than that, man. You just get your membership and you go in every time you want, leave when you want, come back when you want, and you're not paying anything.
While we're talking, we should do a photo contest at the zoo with
Absolutely.
Pitman and us. The winners get front page coverage on our papers. We'll talk about that later through Pitman.
You're golden, Grant. Golden.
I think it'd be pretty exciting. I just love when you go to the zoo and you see these kids. There's grown adults doing it, but when I love little kids doing it, and they're trying to figure it out. As you said, the manual, you're teaching. It's like shooting baskets. You got to keep shoot.
Exactly. Can I tell you something? Listen, I'm a Nikon ambassador. Okay, I'm really stoked that I've been given that privilege.
Right.
I never read the books. I learn by shooting, and quite frankly, God forgive me, Nikon, I can't read your not. They're just too complicated. YouTube, baby. YouTube. Whenever I have a question, how do I do this on my Nikon, whatever?
And they have it.
There's some young kid there doing it, explaining it easily on film, and it just go,
A 12-year-old.
There you
So,
go.
Glenn, what? Tell me some other secrets. There got to be some secrets.
Some secrets.
Here, I'm going to tell you our secret.
Okay.
He just said it. Don't tell any photographer world. Practice, practice, practice. And you're right. Just touching that camera, figuring out, learning the light. Everybody has their secrets. So, what's your secrets?
I mean, really, just being ready. One of the things is getting the shot when you see it. Basically, if you see something you want to photograph, one of the most important things is you really got to go ahead and actually just shoot it right then. The chances of you ever being able to get back and seeing something and having it look the same as it did at the moment that you thought to yourself, wow, I really need to take a picture of that. It's not going to happen. I mean, you're very unlikely to get that exact same situation again. So it's really important to definitely, be ready for the shot. I used to work for Clyde Butcher. So
That's the Everglades guy.
yes, absolutely.
You think everybody knows who he is.
Yeah.
When they talk about him.
So yeah,
Look,
Clyde Butcher, I guess, they used to call him, I guess, earlier on, the Ansel Adams of the Everglades. And they still call him that, but I think he's at the level now that he's up there with him. It's not like, so, but he's a gentleman. He's got the beard. You always see him out in the water, waist deep in the water with a really big view camera.
Right.
And that's one of those big sheet film cameras. But a view camera is not a quick and easy thing to use. I mean, it's definitely something you want to be slow and methodical setting up. And one of the things that just always amazed me when I was out shooting with Clyde was how fast he could shoot. We would be driving along. I mean, that's one of his secrets, is that he does walk around and look around and stuff, but a lot of times he's just driving. And a lot of the shots, the amazing shots that he has of the Everglades, they're literally right next to the road. I mean, we're like driving along. He'll see something and go, stop the car.
But his eye, he just knows.
It's his eye. He knows. And that's the amazing thing. So, I mean, the view camera, normally you have to like set it up and you see the big hood over and you have to sit there and compose and all that. But I mean, I've seen him literally just, driving along, he'll see something, hit the brakes. I mean, slam the brakes, pull over, jump out of the car, actually get his view camera out, set up on a tripod, get it composed. I mean, and like I said, he really can he can see, he knows what the lens, the angle of view is going to be. He can just point the camera at it, get it set up. And I've seen him get a shot off in under a minute after getting out of the car. And with a view camera, that is unbelievable. I mean, most people would be having a hard time trying to get one of these cameras out and get a shot off in a minute after they jumped out of the car. So that's like a key thing. I mean, because if he took 2 minutes or he took 5 minutes, chances are what he saw was going to be gone. And for me, that's the same thing. I mean, if I'm driving around in Everglades National Park, for instance, I've already got the camera out and ready to go. So I'm just ready to just yank it out, put it out the window and do that. Or if I'm hiking around, I've already got the camera set up. It's either attached to the tripod or if I'm hand holding it, it's in my hands and I'm ready to go. Because again, you don't really have time, or even just landscape shots. Like I said, a lot of the stuff, like Ron said, it's the light. It's about how the light looks, and the light is continuously changing. So as soon as you see something you want to photograph, you should be ready to photograph it. And and as much as I want to sell you cameras and gears and binoculars, the phones now, amazing. The quality is incredible.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
For us sports fans, not even sports fans, people go, wow, look at that picture. Well, that photographer was there for 4 hours just shooting photos. Bam. And then after the game, he goes through every photo and say, oh, what a shot. He doesn't know at the time that it's a great shot, like you said.
Well, and that's the thing I want to point out to folks. Listen, for every photograph I show you of things that I've done or I'm doing my presentations and stuff, people go, oh my God, these are great photographs. For every one that I've showed you, I've deleted 100. Okay. You need to understand that I have taken so many absolutely horrendous images. So you guys need to understand, it's not that when you see people like myself go up and do a presentation, oh, see, I want to be able to shoot like, you want to shoot like that? You got to throw away a bunch of them, which I do all the time. All right. You got to take the chance. Again, have much greater advantage now because with digital, we can just delete it. It's not costing us money. We had to be a little bit more frugal before, but now just shoot away, man. Get your practice. There's some people that will criticize and say, well, that spray and pray method is not very good. Listen, the spray and pray method, when I see an animal going into an action, then I can anticipate the behavior, because that's one of the big advantages you will have as a wildlife photographer is when you know your subjects. You know, you can anticipate behaviors. As soon as you see a behavior start, put the hammer down, man. Let it go. And you'll see what you get. You can't predict everything, but your camera can capture things that your naked eye won't. Use it, okay? And understand, again, and change your perspective. If you go to a place and you see everybody shooting from one exact place, look for a different place. What is going to make your image different from the horde of people doing the same thing?
Glenn, we're going to be wrapping up. Let's hear your closing remarks on zoo photos and just how to prepare.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm getting all pumped up. I think I'm going to go there with my phone and start testing it, because I think you got me all excited thinking about it only takes one great shot, and I want to be part of that. Tell me, Glenn.
Well, I mean, prepping is, you have enough memory cards, basically, if you're using digital. Surprisingly, film is really popular again lately. So we have enough film if you're shooting a film camera. Learn something about the animals and their behavior a little bit beforehand. Definitely that helps, because you know then what to expect. Look at other photographers' photographs. That helps a lot too. That way, you can see there's lots of photos online that other people have taken to the zoo, and that can kind of give you an idea what to expect. Definitely check out that map of the zoo so you know where your favorite.
Oh, I like that.
That's because it's a big place, and it takes some time, to walk from one place to the other. So, you want to be able to get to that spot when the light is good that you want. So
before Ron speaks, the best thing to do, become a member.
Absolutely.
$75 or $100. Then you don't have to worry. Do you have to wait in line, or you just show the card?
Show the card, walk right through.
So you save time. That's the most important thing.
Yep.
And there's great parking for people.
Lots of it.
Lots of it. So, Ron, when we close it out?
Well, just to tell you, listen, you come to the zoo, be there when it first opens in the morning. Have your equipment, have your perspective, have patience, and shoot away. Okay, I can't say that enough. And when you look at the map, look at where they have the keeper talks. Because when they do the keeper talks is when the keeper will go out in front of animals and have some treats for the animals, and you get more behaviors out of the animals. Plan your trip around there. Be there for those keeper talks. That's when you're going to get your greatest images. Patience. Enjoy yourself. That's the most important thing. Have fun. Don't go there saying, I've got to get this image. Have fun, and the images will come, I promise.
We got my favorite song I cry to every time. Lion King. Do you know the word? Oh, Ron Magill, you had some credits in Lion King?
Yeah, I worked on the Lion King.
That's pretty exciting.
We got a credit at the end of the film, and I helped all the animators with animal movements and behaviors working with them. So it was a big privilege.
So everybody, Grant Miller here, Miami Community Newspapers, Ron Magill. Zoo Miami. They got a big event this weekend. We got Glenn from Pitman Photo who can help you in any ways. Everybody, have a great day.